thought a very productive, interesting discussion. But his views on Social Security, on Medicare and Medicaid are exactly opposite of what Trump campaigned on. Let me quickly run through Congressman Mulvaney's record. May 15, 2011, Congressman Mulvaney said on Fox Business News, quote, "We have to end Medicare as we know it," end quote. April 28, 2008, Congressman Mulvaney said, quote, "Medicare as it exists today is finished," end quote. August 1st, 2011, Congressman Mulvaney said, quote, "You have to raise the retirement age, lower a pay cut, change the reimbursement system. You simply cannot leave Social Security the way it is." On May 17, 2011, Congressman Mulvaney said, "I honestly don't think we went far enough with the Ryan budget because it did not cut Social Security and Medicare rapidly enough." And in fact, just last year, Congressman Mulvaney voted against the budget proposed by House Budget Committee Chairman Tom Price and House Speaker Ryan, opting instead to vote in favor of an even more extreme budget by the Republican Study Committee. This radical right-wing budget that Congressman Mulvaney supported cut Medicare by $69 billion more than the Price-Ryan budget. It cut Social Security by $184 billion more, and it cut Medicaid and other health programs by $255 billion more than the budget proposed by Chairman Price and Speaker Ryan. Moreover, and this is also interesting, in May of 2009, when Congressman Mulvaney was a member of the South Carolina State Senate, he voted for an amendment declaring Social Security, Medicaid, and the U.S. Department of Education unconstitutional. And let me read the text of that amendment. Quote, "Whereas many federal mandates, such as those which created the U.S. Department of Education, Medicaid, and the United States Social Security Administration are directly in violation of the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution." That amendment in the South Carolina Senate was defeated by a vote of 35-6. Mr. Mulvaney was one of the 6. In my view, the opinions and ideas of Mr. Mulvaney are way out of touch with where the American people want, and more importantly, they are way, way out of touch with what President Trump campaigned on. And while we can all disagree on many issues, I would hope we can agree that if somebody campaigns, as I'm sure many of my Republican colleagues have, you campaign on a set of issues, that you keep your promise. And I suspect Chairman Enzi does that. He tells people how he feels, and then he keeps his word. We disagree, he keeps his word. But it does not make sense to me to have a key advisor to the president having views directly in opposition to what the president campaigned on. Last point. I have come to learn during the confirmation review process, we have come to learn during the nominating process here, that Mr. Mulvaney failed to pay over $15,000 in taxes for a nanny that he employed from 2000 to 2004. And here is what Congressman Mulvaney wrote about this issue in response to a question that I asked him on January 11th. Quote, "I have come to learn during the confirmation review process that I failed to pay FICA and federal and state unemployment taxes on a household employee for the years 2000 through 2004. Upon discovery of that shortfall, I paid the federal taxes. The amount in question for federal FICA and unemployment was $15,583.60, exclusive of penalties and interest, which are not yet determined. The state amounts are not yet determined," end of quote. Mr. Chairman, this is a serious issue. As you will recall, 8 years ago, Senator Daschle withdrew his nomination as Secretary of HHS after it was discovered that he failed to pay his fair share of taxes. Mr. Chairman, on this issue, I agree with Minority Leader Schumer, who said, quote, "When other previous cabinet nominees failed to pay their fair share in taxes, Senate Republicans forced those nominees to withdraw from consideration. If failure to pay taxes was disqualifying for Democratic nominees, then the same should be true for Republican nominees," end of Schumer quote. In 2015, Mr. Chairman, Congressman Mulvaney voted for a bill in the House that clearly stated, and I quote, "Any individual who has a seriously delinquent tax debt should be ineligible to be appointed or to continue serving as an employee of the federal government." Mr. Chairman, I look forward to asking Mr. Mulvaney questions, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. Before we swear in the witness and hear his testimony, we'll hear today a little about the nominee from our Budget Committee colleague, Senator Graham, as well as Senator Cotton. Senator Graham and Representative Mulvaney are fellow South Carolinians, and Senator Cotton served in the House with Representative Mulvaney. Senator Graham.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am honored to be here to introduce Congressman Mulvaney. Mick, he's my buddy. We don't agree on everything, but I think he's one of the most capable people I've met during my time in public service. And we have a real friendship. We play golf. He always beats me. I accept that. He has a beautiful wife and triplets. Just remember that when you talk to him. He's sincere. Clearly, Senator Sanders would not have chosen him for his OMB director. I think we've established that. Why would President Trump, pick a man, according to Senator Sanders, that doesn't agree with anything he stands for? I would argue that he picked Congressman Mulvaney because he understands, he knows the budget. He will be a good overseer of the government. He's a practical guy, and he will follow the president's vision. President Trump understands everything you said about Congressman Mulvaney, and he has confidence in this man's ability to do a job for his administration. I share that confidence. To those on the defense side, he will follow the call of the president to increase defense spending. He does believe in entitlement reform, and I think he's right to do so to save these programs. So from a personal point of view, I've never had an occasion where he would not tell me exactly what he believed, even if he knew I disagreed with it. And he is able to disagree with people in an honorable fashion, and he's incredibly smart. He's made it his life's work to understand what's wrong with our government, and he will be dedicated to fixing it. And one final point of personal privilege. I voted, I think, for every nominee of President Obama. I think every one of them. I asked myself why I did that now. The reason I did it is I think elections have consequences. And while I disagreed with almost every nominee about the basic structure of government, I understood that President Obama needed his team and deserved his team if they were qualified. And here's what I would ask this committee to consider. Given this man's life experience, his background in the public sector and the private sector, his time in Congress, do you believe he's qualified to understand how the federal government works and to reform it consistent with what the president will direct him to do? I believe that with all my heart and soul, and I appreciate you listening to Congressman Mulvaney, and any hard question you can ask, you're doing your job.